In a world that glorifies the grind, Selah is a sacred invitation to pause. Every other week, you'll find space here to slow down, listen inward, and remember who you are beneath all the noise. Through guided reflections, soulful conversations, gentle practices, and story-led journeys, Selah, a deep pause, offers rest. Not an escape, not to repress, but as a way to come home. This podcast is for those standing at the edge of change. You know who you are. The seekers, the sensitives, the high-functioning feelers, those ready to honor the quiet and reclaim their own rhythm. So come as you are and exhale. Then exhale again and stay for the stillness. Hello and welcome back to Selah, a deep pause. I am here with Krissi, the extraordinary producer.
Hi, everyone.
And I have invited a very dear friend. Her name is Michelle. It's Dr. Michelle. Here's what I love about today's episode. Our brains are trying to construct, what are we going to talk about? And, Source just keeps going like, follow your heart. Don't get into that mental space and just see what opens up. Because when we have conversations, they're just extraordinary and they're one of a kind.
Yeah.
And we've been sharing these connections and like remembrance since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm excited to see what's going to be birthed here.
Yeah.
Because I really don't know. And I love it. We were both just willing to go like, okay, we're gonna trust and see
what weirdness comes. Because honestly, let's not filter.
Exactly.
Right?
I love it. Yes, let's not filter.
Like let what's coming through come through. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell them how we met or about our crazy Portugal trip
Oh my God, there's so much to say, right? Well, first tell them a little bit about you and what you do, and then let's dive in.
Yeah. Well, I'm loving the mural, by the way, and like everything here. It's been a while since I've been here because we went through a rupture and repair, but a little bit about me. I'm a physician by trade. I work in prison systems. I'm a former Navy veteran, Coast Guard veteran. I was a physician in the military and I got out in 2017. And then I medical direct prisons. And on the other hand, I do something called regenerative medicine, or basically helping people live longer, healthier lives. So it's one thing to say, hey, I want to live till I'm 100, but I can't wipe my own booty. No thanks, right? Nobody wants that. Or like they can't remember their names or something like that, right? But then the other aspect is like, no, I want a health span. So that's that. And what I found when I started doing that is you can biohack all day long. You can try to take all the supplements and take all the hormones and the pills and this and that. But if your root energy is being drained somewhere, it's just not going to happen. So that bridged me into doing more meditation, breath work, psychedelics, and start looking at like our energy bodies, right? And like, so I'm also a psychedelic trained physician as well. Ketamine is legal in all 50 states. That is what I facilitate. And of course, familiar with many medicines through different works overseas. And yeah, and then Laura and I, we've gotten to play and work and grow in some different circles. And we went through a lot of goodness together and now we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stronger than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like there was that rupture that was created so that I could grow into all of me and you had this we just had these powerful paths
that were really difficult for both of us. Like when we got back together, you had gone through your own, I'm just going to call it hell. And I had gone through my own hell, and I'll share this vulnerably, like I was involuntarily committed 6 or 7 times, meaning me as a physician was taken into a mental hospital 6 times against my will in the same year
Mhm.
that you were going through a rupture
Yeah.
and
And
chemo.
choosing the truth
Right,
that was coming in for me
right,
when it came to, mentorship, especially in the psychedelic world.
right.
Yeah.
So, Stanislav Grof, who's like Grofian psychology, is an MD, is like in his late 90s, amazing. If you look at The Way of the Psychonaut, it's he talks about this and it's called the spiritual emergence. And so Krissi mentioned it right before the show that rupture is never comfortable usually, but it can be. I think what Laura and I like to do is we call in ease and grace.
Yeah.
So like even this morning we were being asked, well, how what do you want to sacrifice? And then I had this conversation back and I was like, whoa, I don't want to sacrifice anything. But then they were like, okay, well, how uncomfortable are you willing to get? And then I was like giving them the image of exercising. Like I can exercise and I can get uncomfortable exercising, but I don't have to tear a muscle.
Correct.
Right? And so, like, finding that, like, understanding yourself and, like, leaning into that intuition and that playing back and forth with spirit or playing back and forth with your energy, your field to start expanding. It's just like a muscle like you work out in the gym,
Mhm.
right? When you
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
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 So and it was interesting, our rupture came from, like, community kind of rupturing
Mhm.
us too,
Mhm.
which was super interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just like anytime that an energy, and this is really, oh gosh, it's just kind of landing.
Mhm.
When energies come in that we don't understand,
Yes. There's a
and
propensity to
yes,
label them as negative.
exactly. And it's
Mhm.
just like,
Yep.
because there's no understanding of
Right.
it. And they're like, well, I mean, show me the facts of like
Right.
why you're thinking this or why you're saying this or feeling this.
Mhm.
And so when there is and this is, I think, sometimes why if some of us out there are, if anyone out there, let's just say, is feeling like a need to change, or
Mm.
your pool is changing. Because I mean, look at us. I mean, you're a doctor.
Mhm.
I was a
Mhm.
businesswoman,
Mhm, mhm.
and the communication and the shifts and the pulls, and that we at the beginning we had no clue
None.
what was communicating. It was difficult to navigate. But then as we leaned in, and then more of this, it's the communication got stronger and stronger.
So,
It
Laura, can you,
Yes.
sorry, real quick, can you give an example of what you were calling, and I think you said either negative energies or bad energies?
Mm,
Like
mm.
what did that, because I don't think that's what you mean anymore. I don't think you would call
Mm-mm,
those energies negative
mm-mm.
or bad.
No,
Do you
not at all.
have an example of what you both were labeling negative energies, which now you look back on and go, oh, it was just maybe something that I just didn't understand?
Correct.
No, I have a big answer for that.
Go for it.
Anger. Rage,
Uh-huh.
fear. So, like, if you look at the map of consciousness, people think that these lower energies are, quote, bad. And
Hmm.
then the higher energies are what you're going for. And, that's spiritual bypassing. That's what's called spiritual bypassing. It's like, no, we are human and we feel the whole range, and there's wisdom within the rage and the anger and the fit of people having
Yes,
that. And
exactly.
when that comes out, especially in non-ordinary states of consciousness, whether that's meditation, breath work, it's catharsis. It's leaving your field. It's been suppressed and repressed because we're told, no, you need to behave. You need to sit still. You need to,
Be
pay
happy.
attention,
Get over
be
it.
happy, get
Hmm.
over it, and so here we are. We keep
Yep.
doing this over and over. And then
Yep.
especially when you start getting into like perimenopause and transition, you're like, yes, I don't bleep that out.
Yep.
But it's like it's one of those things that it's just like, no,
Hmm.
Yes.
no, like
Yeah.
I
wait a
feel this
minute.
and I'm going to
And
feel it and I need
yeah,
to feel it. I want to feel it. And once you feel it,
yes. And
after
like
you're
have
like, fuck, thank you.
but where
Yes.
is that normal though, Chrissy,
It's
right?
not.
So like
It's not.
it's not. In what
It's not.
setting is it okay like men, no offense, I love men. You know, we see them rage, we see them get angry. So
Mhm.
it's like, oh, that's a man getting angry. Like,
Mhm.
and we understand, okay, calm down, you know, whatever. But if a woman does that, she gets committed.
Mhm.
I'm not
Yes.
joking.
Yeah. Or she's
Like,
told she's crazy, or she's
she
difficult, or she's a bitch.
exactly,
or
or
all of the
medicated
things.
bitch, like,
Yeah.
you know, all of
Yeah.
that. So like, I'm the scariest thing because I rage and break, but really what was happening is there was so much suppressed and repressed, and so when I started doing this work, that's what was stealing from me, right? Is the suppression and repression of energy,
Yeah.
of these things that we call negative, instead of like hugging it and realizing, wow, you were here to teach me a lesson that I have been violated, and that's
Yeah.
not okay. And
Correct.
it's perfectly fine to feel rage in that.
Correct.
Mhm.
Well, and the good girl conditioning that we
Yeah.
could not feel that.
Yeah.
And it's like, so we just keep, like, we felt it. And it's like, I remember literally my very first plant medicine journeys, I heard myself self-soothing
Yeah.
because when it wanted to come up,
Yeah. It's too much for the space.
it was like, I was self-soothing because it's like, I can't, what is this? Like, I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to allow
You didn't know
myself
what to
to
do with it.
feel it.
Mhm.
No, because what are they going to think if I erupt here? What's going to happen? It's just, and I didn't understand what was happening
Or I
either.
can't stand when they label it demon warfare, or
Mm.
like, oh, there's some demonic warfare happening, which, hey, don't get me wrong, just like I work in prisons, there are people that belong in prison. Like, I'm serious. Like, there, you know, I don't want to discount that.
Yeah,
But I also don't want to point to that right away,
100%.
you know,
Yeah.
in terms of distortion and in the field, you know, and things like that. Distortion, I'll agree with. But like, to say that you're being preyed upon, or like now you're possessed, you know how scary that is to tell somebody, hey, you're possessed with the demon, bro. Like,
Oh,
what? How that's like victim shaming in a sense.
It
It's
is.
like,
Mhm.
you know,
mhm.
it's like, what do I do with this? Like,
Yeah. It
and so these are
invalidates how
things,
you're feeling. It's a complete
right.
invalidation of what you're feeling and what you're going
Hello?
through.
Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly. Instead of like, wow, that's really big. Do I have the resource and capacity to support this human at
Mhm.
this time? And if I don't, I need to step away,
Yes,
you
yes.
know? But I'm
I
not
love how
going to
you said
label it.
that. Do I have the resource to
And
support
right. And
and
capacity.
hold this
Right.
person with what's rising up, and honor
Right.
what's rising up versus trying to name it
And fix it.
Yeah.
and fix it.
And fix it.
Fix it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Like, oh, no, 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 no. So
Yeah.
there's this
Yeah.
concept within, you know, the psychedelic realm and holding space. It's like, believe it or not, that need to fix is a projection. It's a
Mhm.
discomfort within
Mhm.
yourself. And it's also not
Yep.
honoring their sovereignty and
Mhm.
their autonomy. And it's saying, you can't handle this. I need to come in and do it for you.
Oh. Ooh,
Right?
heck yeah.
Yeah.
Even if they're asking you to do it. Even if they're asking you to do
Even
it.
if
Come
it's
help
like,
me.
no.
Because
Yeah.
that's
No.
we have
Yeah.
that part too of please help me.
Right.
It's already in you, babe. I'll sit here with you.
Yes.
And let's see if we
Yes.
can navigate it together, but not fix
Wow.
you.
Wow.
Mhm.
Oh, I can feel that. I can see
Yeah.
not just the conversation of it. It's just like, oh, it's
Do you do this on the show a lot? I hope
Excuse
so.
us, pardon.
yeah. Chrissy the other day, she goes, Laura, you don't sit still.
I'm like, you're a wiggle worm, babe. I've got her over here and over here, and I'm like having to recenter her. I'm like, sit still. Anyway, it's good when there's two.
I'm just
because
making
she's-
sure it's normal.
you know it's normal. You know it's
I
normal.
know it's normal.
You
Okay,
know
good.
it's
I'm
normal.
glad.
But it's interesting you guys talking about this because I was with Laura kind of at the beginning of her journey, and so which would align with your journey, Michelle. But you had to go through what you needed to go through to learn that.
Mhm.
Because that initial
Yeah.
initiation into those groups and into that learning something new, we still sometimes, and I'll say I sometimes give our autonomy over to this person that knows more than we do or has been through it already,
Yeah.
however that
Oh,
looks.
yeah.
And then we're like, oh, well, they know more than I. It's almost like that guru
Exactly.
syndrome, rather than
Mhm.
actually what I know now is I know.
Yeah.
I already know. I just didn't know that I knew.
Yeah.
Just wasn't aware enough to pick that up. And so it's
Correct.
almost like when you guys were going through the hell that you both went through,
Yeah.
that's where you learn to trust yourself
Mm-hmm.
and to go, wait a minute, I already knew this.
And Krissi, that's where I've seen the most harm
Yeah.
happen within the psychedelic community or in theogenic community, like any fancy term plant medicine community. That's where I've seen the most harm happen is when a person says, I've had enough, or this is, like they hear the no. And then that person of authority comes in and says, no, the medicine is going to give you what you need. Or no, you need to continue. That's what happened to me several times in Mexico. They were like, no, everybody takes it again. Everybody goes. And I was
Oh,
like,
no.
bro, I broke. And oh, you break. It's because you're supposed to break. And that's what the medicine's doing. But listen, in Western society, unlike these indigenous cultures, there's not a sense of understanding. We were talking about this earlier. Like, remember how outcasted we felt, because I'm hugging trees and I'm, like speaking in tongues and like, yeah, I look crazy, because it's not accepted in our community. But like in indigenous cultures, well, yeah, you better talk to the trees and you're missing out on wisdom if you don't, and having a different mode of expression, whether that's breathing or whistling or music, like it means so much. So, like, that's, I think, another challenge we see in our Western community is as we're bridging into these different powerful technologies, we don't necessarily have the community around us to support what we're awakening in.
Yeah.
If that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautifully
And
makes sense.
so I caution and I go back to what Krissi was saying is like, honor that no.
Yes.
And guess what? If that means you don't get to stay in that circle that evening, okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Yep.
Don't give your autonomy away.
No.
Say, you know what? Thank you. And I guarantee you learned more than you ever would have learned had you stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got goosebumps with
Yeah.
that. Oh, I got some major goosebumps with that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I needed to hear that again myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's one of the biggest things. Like even when I work with people, I feel them leaning in. It's like, well, what do you feel? And I'm like, I don't know, baby. You're not here to ask me. You're here to remember
Yeah.
your own truth. So let's ask questions and it's just like I said, and I always get the bicycle with the trailing wheels because we've been conditioned to look for answers outside of ourselves. And so you're learning to write again. And it's okay.
We've shut our intuition
We're
down.
gonna have some training wheels on. It's okay. But let's start. Let's start leaning in. Okay. It's like, well, I'm not feeling anything. Well, okay, let's take a deep breath. Let's make sure you didn't feel anything. I was like, well, actually I kind of, and it's just getting people is like, no, 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 no. You know, you you want somebody, if you're in a container, you want someone to encourage you to listen, encourage you to feel what are you feeling and honor where you're at.
hmm
That is enough is enough. It is enough.
Yeah.
That brought up so much because one of the biggest signs that somebody is dissociated or disembodied is they can't feel.
Yeah.
They can't feel. So for women, I'm going to give an example. That's the orgasm, believe it or not. And so many women in our age group actually have a lot of challenge with that.
Yeah.
But as they start to get rid of all this stuff that they suppressed and repressed, all of a sudden they have this like sexual awakening that happens too, which is really profound.
I love that you're saying that because I will tell you. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Tim!
Yeah. It's like, Tim. It's like, yo, he loves
Not
it.
not right now, Tim. Not right now,
No,
Tim.
no.
Not right now.
Stand down. Stand
Later,
down.
later.
Right? But no, but it's like, I'm glad you're saying that because as I've learned to listen to my inner voice,
Ugh,
I
that girl's controlling a
freaking,
lot.
I freaking growl. I have all
I
this
know,
like
yeah.
the orgasm is not what it used to be. It like it comes from this depth that is like wow, and
Yeah.
it's something that I didn't even know existed. I mean, it keeps surprising me.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's so important because so much of orgasm is power. And let me tell you from like a biochemical perspective of what's happening in your body, it is good for you to orgasm. You know what I mean? It's like really good. Like all these wonderful hormones are being released of pleasure. And it's telling your body, yes, it is safe to create. It is safe to thrive. It is safe to like do all these things. So I tell people all the time, or I ask them rather, how are you feeling sexually? And if you're super disconnected,
Mhm.
that's a big sign that you're disembodied, that you've been suppressing, repressing, and you're not in connection. So I think it's really amazing that we're encouraging that because I see it in the medical community too, where people are conditioned to say, I have this problem, doctor. What is it? Now give me a prescription. Fix it.
Mhm.
And like now we have to, oh my God. And sometimes, trust me, when you've seen like 80 billion people, you're like, yes, here's our prescription. But like, but because what we do is not like, I'm just like, well, take a step back.
Mhm.
What do you think is actually causing this? If you could give one word, like just take your time and sit with it. And they'll be like, my relationship. I was like, there you go. Is there a pill for that? No. So we kind of slow down, back up, and connect
Yeah.
instead of band aids masking and me further suppressing and repressing
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
with pills or things like that. Having them focus out here instead of going within,
Mhm. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did that bring up for you?
It's just what I'm more than anything, I'm kind of just sitting in this yumminess as you're talking,
Yeah.
about that because um I mean, Tim and I have been on this journey of, coming together. You know, it's not like we knew that there was an issue because it's normal.
Right. To have
Oh, you've been
conflict.
together
Yeah.
over 15 years. I mean, when it all just, and at that point, it's like, you've been together. It's just, yeah, welcome to the club. This is what happens. You lose your sex drive, you lose all these things. And so it's normalized. So you don't even know that something's missing. You don't even know where to start or where to even like start the conversations and so I'm listening and I'm just reminiscing of how much has unfolded to open up, but none of that opened up for us until I started listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
When the word I remember, man, it was the agency, and that's why when in my container, agency is such a big deal for me
Right.
because I feel like at the beginning, my agency was taken where I would feel something and then there'd be like, oh, no, 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 that's not. I'm like, how do you know what I'm feeling or what I'm not? And so then I would dismiss myself a lot. But the more I learned to trust something that was so unknown to me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not just trust it, but acknowledge it. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledge it. Because sometimes when I'd start getting visions and I'd be like, okay, and I would dismiss it, it was when I started, like, okay, I see it. Okay, I'm feeling this. And the acknowledgement of it,
Mm. Mm. Mm.
it was as I acknowledged
Yeah.
that all these other avenues started moving
Mm.
and waking up because there's a
That makes
sense
sense.
of like, I
Yeah.
can, oh, okay, but because it's so unknown where
Yeah.
we dismiss it, but there's something that happens when you acknowledge.
Yes, and what that brought up because as I'm listening, this,
Mhm.
spirit and guides, and a lot of people ask me, "Well, how do you get to talk to your spirit guides?" And all that kind of stuff. And it's interesting because I'm hearing like, "Well, how would you feel if I kept talking to you and you kept ignoring me?"
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's just what I heard. They're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people asking this question right now." And as you're saying that, like, how would you feel if I would just stop because
Mhm.
short of screaming or whatever, and that's
Yeah.
not really the energy of play that we're in, the energy of
Yeah.
ease and grace that we're in. So, like, yeah. So there's that, but then also not being lost to that, because
Mhm.
I do want to warn that there
Yes.
are,
Yes.
you know, there's that, so like there's,
It's true.
like it's true, right? So there is discernment,
Yes.
and that discernment comes with, does this bring ease to my body? Do I feel safe? Do I
Mhm.
feel more love? Or am I feeling a red flag? And if I feel a red flag,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But like listening, because I think there is a benevolence, there is a one love, there is a oneness that is us. There is a peaceful, unifying frequency that distortion cannot live in. It just cannot live in there. So tuning into that and receiving from that place is like, you're
Yeah.
just, yeah, we both are like, that's life force
Yes.
that is so potent and powerful. And then listening in from there,
Yeah.
which could get us into the extrasensory perception.
Okay.
You want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
let's go for it.
Okay. So we were talking about this earlier, because I love giving terms. And, my way actually into this world in the veteran community and through my regenerative medicine thing, I kept seeing people. It's like, man, as soon as I stop their hormones or their IVs or whatever, like they just revert back. Right. And so that's kind of what brought me into the world is, people dealing with depression, anxiety, they're constant high performers or whatever else. But then that's when I realized how powerful intuition is, and our body knows way more than the science books, right? So, intuition, and what is that? And which sense is that? Some people call it the sixth sense. And so I like Gary Zukav's work, where he talks about extra sensory perception. And so, what does that mean? Okay, we all acknowledge the five senses, right? So what's coming in there, right? So
Uh-huh.
like we all acknowledge the five senses, but then like if you're being stared at by that hot boyfriend, Krissi, it's coming in from she's all there.
Is he here?
Is he here?
Excuse me.
No,
Are they here? I just say they.
there's three. No, just kidding. So from across the room, and you can tell somebody's looking at you. Which
Mhm.
sense is that? Or, you get this feeling like, I don't know, the baby is about to cry. Or you get this like knowing that
Your grandmother's
you
going to
for
call and the phone
yeah.
rings and it's your
And then the
grandmother.
phone rings. Yeah.
Mhm.
So what is that? And what has happened is so we call that extra senses because they're not named yet, but we're still perceiving something. So that's extra sensory perception. And so one of our goals is within our community, our families, we're actually encouraging that. We're actually saying like this is normal to receive information. It's normal for you to sometimes talk to spirit or have some spirit talk to you.
Mhm.
Like kind of shifting the community and the focus and like understanding it so that we're not naming it as evil,
Correct.
Mhm.
Correct.
right?
Mhm.
I think that's really big.
It's a big one. I
Yeah.
mean, like my family, I come from a family of like medicine women and mediums and um but I grew up out of it. I wasn't exposed to
Mm,
it, right? Which is why I was freaking out when they first started coming in. But my son, since he was 5, had all these gifts, but because I didn't know what was happening,
mhm. Yeah,
oh my God, I couldn't support him. I wasn't even willing to acknowledge it for him.
exactly. Yeah.
And so I mean, we're still recovering from that.
Mhm.
We're literally still recovering from that because I mean, it led him to thinking it was evil. It led it all his story maker went nuts, creating this other thing. And so, you know, we lost him and he's been finding his way back. And it's because now he's embodying and trusting it. But when you said that, it just reminded me, my 3-year-old granddaughter several months ago, I'm brushing her hair in my restroom. And then all of a sudden she turns around and she goes, "Oh, Mommy, there's there's an old woman staring at me. Well, because now I'm open to all this sensory and I'm like, oh, I go, there's nothing to be scared about. I said, what does she look like? She goes, she's got like white hair and it's long. And then she goes, what is she doing? She goes, she's like playing peekaboo with me. And I was like, oh, it's like, okay, we'll go. Do you want to talk to her? She goes, no, she's scaring me. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, then if you don't want to talk to her, will you ask her if she'll leave? She goes, her house is not here. Her house is super far away, mom. Or Ami. She calls me Ami. And I was like, okay. And I said, so I held her hand and I said, will you ask her if she will leave? That she's making you nervous? And so she did. I said, what happened? And she goes, oh, she's gone.
Yeah.
And I was so it's didn't make it a weird thing. I acknowledged it. I gave her it's like this is okay, and gave her support so that as that continues to unfold for her, because I'm sure that's just the start of it,
It is.
you
Yeah.
know. And
My
so
daughter
those
was the
parts of
same
us
thing.
don't get close because I'm
Right.
sure I know for me that was
Yeah.
shut down.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we in the Latin community we call it brujeria.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is witchcraft stuff or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. And it's kind of shunned. Or I was raised in Georgia. It's a very thing, but these things are not conflicting. It's just we didn't have a name for it or like a common understanding. And an example I love to give is like, imagine if you had never heard of the thing called childbirth, and then all of a sudden you're watching a woman give birth.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's actually exactly.
What if you never heard of that before, and you've never seen it before?
I love that.
And it's like people can understand that. And then another example I love to give is that of the womb. When they're like, Michelle, what is it that you hear or see, or like, why is it different or this and that? I'm like, okay, look, imagine we are talking to a baby inside of a uterus and we're trying to describe what this outside world looks like to them, and they've never experienced it.
Yeah. Yeah. Perspective.
hmm So there's something about doing the work, about experiencing it and developing your own sensory skills. And I think honestly, children come with that, and then
Mhm.
we program them not to,
Correct.
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know,
It's
right?
just, it goes back also to when you're talking about rage and anger and all of those things.
hmm
Children feel all of the emotions so
Right.
naturally.
Right.
And as they start to get angry or they have, throw a fit or whatever it is because they didn't get something that they want, that we shun that. We're like, that's not how you're supposed to act. And so that's when we
hmm
start to just pull out the anger part as well as all those other intuitions and those other senses. Like you
Mhm.
act this way. This is how we do things. And you just start to put the mask on and you start to play along. And then eventually you've just become, the next foot soldier in that conditioning
Yeah.
until you hit
That brought up
menopause and you go, fuck this.
right. Yes, we can say that word. I love it. I
Sorry,
love
we
that.
should have told you that up front.
I know. That's gypped. We need to start over. I've been
Stop,
filtering. I'm like,
re-record.
no, okay. What that brought up for me, Krissi, is when we tell kids to behave
Mhm,
and we've never really modeled, which is very important in the plant
mhm,
community, psychedelic community, any community, is we have it modeled co-regulating
mhm,
Mhm.
and teaching them how to access a synchronous state within themselves again and this energy. So I think what that brought up was like the suppression and repression. Yes, we need to have rupture too. And the exercise form of that is experiencing those mini ruptures and being able to come to a
mhm,
state of centeredness within yourself.
mhm.
And then the way to support that is through co regulation or breathing or like helping holding space for that person, that little person, because we all have the little person within us that
Yes.
never got the healing and the love,
Mhm,
whether it doesn't matter if we're two or 200, but it's like that ability. So understanding that we mirror each other, that if we can anchor in while someone else is in an expanded or activated state, it can help regulate them as well because we are naturally communal beings. I think that
Mhm.
was so hard for both of us.
Yeah.
Is we both got kicked out of our communities, but
Yeah.
like the community I was in with her, I was kicked out of it essentially,
Yeah.
and like told we can't have you in this space like
Mm.
this. Instead of looking at what that was triggering within them,
Yeah.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So co-regulating, I think, is super important. I'm thinking about what you said, Krissi. Like, these are the women that are like starting to explore and expand, and like, what are going to be things that help them in their queendom even more.
Mhm.
Like that's one of those. And so just recognizing when we feel like we need to have a big feeling, if we can lean into someone to help us land with that feeling and really surrender.
And the wisdom that rises up when we
Mhm.
allow ourselves to have that big feeling, when we
Ah.
allow the rage to rise, is it changes you. It's a
Does.
radical shift.
It is a huge radical shift
Yes.
Mhm.
to have that and then also be seen in that and not to be shunned in it afterward. To go,
Mhm.
yep, girl, I saw all of that and it was amazing and I'm still here.
Yep.
You're still here.
Yep.
That
Yeah,
is a
and
huge thing.
I think something too though is also personal responsibility. So let's say I was in a space and we were talking about mistakes last night. It's also like coming up and saying, okay, my lover and I were just listening to the Four Agreements again. And in the book it's talking about how we humans make each other suffer a mistake over 1,000 times. Which is really interesting. So sometimes the rage might be directed at you, and that's really scary. Or
Yeah.
it's something that, like, wait a minute, I've been in a relationship with this person, and I realize all of a sudden, like, no, this isn't right. And I speak up for myself. And sometimes it takes that from your partner too to just be like, whoa, like, to disrupt, to rupture just like a muscle does, and repair again. So that's the other thing that came up with is like also though taking personal responsibility over those mistakes,
Mhm.
apologizing. You have the Ho'oponopono in your room, which is the I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you, right? And then also on the other side of it, really accepting that apology and like really looking within ourselves to say, why is it that I want to hold on to this? What is it about this that is giving me a false sense of safety? Because we've been working so much on basically taking the cage off,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Being the wild women that we are that growl.
Or that, it's just like, or us navigating Portugal. It's
Oh
like,
my
oh my
God.
God.
Oh, it's hilarious. So I wonder if we'll just give a little snippet of the cave. Like, so we're in this like really
Where's some megaliths?
megaliths. Yeah. So they're like
Megaliths.
thousands of years or whatever,
80,000 or something
whatever,
years
something
old.
crazy
Yeah.
like the megaliths that are there. And Laura and I are like opening portals, like, talking across dimensions, and we record this. And then we go back and we look at it. We're like, oh my God, we look ridiculous, like, but we had so much fun. And then, we were like, so what if we made it up? Like,
Yeah.
like kids and
I mean, we were like little
full
girls.
full play happening. And it
Yeah.
was like so nourishing and like energizing and like, oh my God, we still laugh and it gives us so much energy just to watch that video and
Yeah.
be able to that's life force. Again, I keep talking about this,
Yeah.
like all the ways we've told ourselves no and to stop playing. That's the problem, not the omegas.
Correct.
You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
We
omegas are
stop
important.
playing.
Yeah.
Which is the
Yeah.
imagination is it's the bridge
Hmm.
to creation. It's
Yeah.
the bridge to life force energy. It guides, it's giving us a shortcut back into this accessing what we're talking about, these sensories. Yes. It's
So
like it gives
much.
us access to this stuff because yes, like that we laugh with the
Oh
ridiculousness
my
of our
God, that video
video,
is hilarious.
but like when cause one, it was just beautiful that we had it all to ourselves.
Yeah, I know. We
So
drove through this like cow field. There was a gate up, and she thought I was going to turn around, and I'm like, no. I drove up, and gratefully there was something that just said, "Shut the gate behind you."
exactly, because
You know, but
we thought that it was like how many
yeah,
people think this is closed.
true.
And I'm like, we didn't
And they don't
drive
try
two
even.
hours to
Right.
exactly because the sign is so
It
small.
was super tiny by
But
that
if you
gate.
don't get up and
Close enough.
read,
Wow.
it says,
Yes.
remember, it said,
Just shut the gate
just shut the
behind you.
door behind you. And I'm like, oh, let's go.
I was like, we were going to go in anyway.
Exactly. We were going to park the car and climb the fence
Yeah, we
anyways.
were, but then I was like,
then
look.
we got permission.
Like, yeah. Oh my God. Speaking of permission,
Ah.
yeah.
But
Anyway, keep
no,
going.
so yeah, but it's just that whole, even it's, that's so funny we say, because it started at the gate.
It did.
It started at the
That
gate,
visual no.
that visual
Yeah,
no,
right.
and then going like, no, we literally drove 2.5 hours to come here.
Yeah, we're doing
Like,
it.
we're doing this.
I'm scared, but we're
I
doing
know.
it.
Yes. I'm a little scared, but we're doing
We're
this.
doing it. We're going to trespass on a foreign land.
Exactly. And then
Everything's fine. Just go. Just
exactly.
go. It's okay.
It's okay.
But it's like, how many opportunities do we pass by because
Mm.
of the conditioning?
Yes.
And that's because we leaned in, that we then saw, no, you can enter, just close the door behind you. It's like, oh, we could have missed out on that whole experience,
Adventure.
which that day was the pinnacle of life force coming in. They've guided the rest of
The
that
rest of the
insane
trip.
day.
Yeah, like the rest.
Because we had no plan for that day,
No.
and it was
Profound.
the most profound
Oh
day
my
of my
God.
life.
It really was,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah, throughout the
Mhm.
rest of the day.
Yeah.
That was massive.
Yeah.
Can we talk about something vulnerable?
I mean, please.
Oh, I don't know. That's why I'm asking permission. And we can say no, but I want to also talk about, as people enter this space, they might hear guidance or get curiosity around serving medicine to themselves or to others. And I think that that's really important to talk about because in indigenous cultures, there's a rite of passage. There's like you mentioned it earlier, like an initiation, that we kind of go through. In our Western culture, there's kind of not that. And we also have a recreational use historically in our country, that in our society, that, you know, isn't really connected with the essence or the intelligence or the sentience of these very powerful medicines or plants. So what are your thoughts on that? And like when people start to hear that, or, we're all about breaking the rules and going with the flow, but you have to know the rules to break them, as the Dalai Lama says. You know what I mean? Which I think is really, I have that on my backboard, on my karma poster, behind my desk. Let's talk a little bit about that,
Okay.
if you're open to it.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So what comes up when you like what is some guidance, because obviously you left your community, right?
Mhm.
And it was a community where you were getting mentorship and tutelage, and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't right. And then at
Mhm.
some point you stepped into your own strength and you became your
Mhm.
own, guide and medicine woman. And,
Mhm.
the same with me too. And I could talk about it too, but it's like, at what point do you feel your enoughness? And at what point is it safe or not safe? Or like, what are some thoughts around that?
Well, the biggest thing with all of it is all a teacher.
Mm,
So it is one of my biggest values in this is that I won't guide anywhere I haven't been myself.
myself before. I see that all the time.
I said it
I say that
because
all the time.
because
Mm,
everyone
mm,
is
mm, mm,
opening up.
mm,
So, I mean, the psyche is it's
mm.
so precious.
Oof.
There's such an honoring of it all. And so as you get those callings, that calling at first is it's for you.
Yeah.
And so as we got to stay focused here first, it's like, okay, I hear that. And it's
Mhm.
like what I have to navigate my own, what have I where have I dared not to, feel? What areas of me have I not been willing to see? And it just so for me, because the calling was big primarily because of my lineage, but I I mean I pushed it back.
Mhm, mhm.
Nope, 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 because I want there is so much to learn, and and it's a massive responsibility, especially when I mean what you and I have witnessed
Yeah,
when there is something large moving through.
right.
And if you haven't witnessed it or experienced it,
Mhm.
how we have to be able to honor and hold it
Or
without demonizing it
re-traumatize it.
to
Yeah,
re-traumatize it.
yeah.
And
I think trauma
so it
informed.
is a navigating of learning. Um, just so that the more the more I do my work, and it still keeps expanding, right? It's still expanding.
Sure.
And some of the work we did last night, man, I
Yeah.
already know that that just got expanded
Yes.
massively.
Yeah, totally.
Um, and so that there is a capacity to hold everything, even if we can't understand it, so that so somebody can take their sovereignty and
Mm.
agency back
Hmm.
and have as they look or trying to hold something down. It's like,
Mhm.
no, no, no. Like, let's trust this. Keep going.
Mm.
However you want, right? But I'm here to hold whatever needs to rise up.
Mhm.
And
So capacity
capacity.
is what I'm hearing because and that's kind of the analogy I give a person. I say, "Look, a woman's having a baby." I go back to the baby thing because there's so much energy and creation and force and like all this magnitude of unexplainable things happening sometimes. And I say this analogy often when I'm describing capacity and safety within these realms because what I've seen is a lot of neo shamans or like these new people popping up and they are like, well, I'm hearing I need to do this. And then they buy medicine from an untrusted source, they start giving medicine out,
Mm.
and I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay, okay." But going back to agency, what I coach, people that are seeking is like, "Look, here's a question you need to ask them. Who's your emergency response team?" Okay? So, even if I'm a midwife or a doula, and yes, birthing is hopefully 99% of the time is gonna go great, but when there's an emergency, who's the surgeon,
Mm.
right? Or who's gonna be there to help save that baby or that mom? So I think having that awareness that these medicines are so powerful, even breath work states and things that are going to anything that can tickle the psyche or tickle what you've compensated yourself with. And now all of a sudden we're taking these like I don't know, these false protectors away. And now you have all this vulnerability and this like, what do I do with these emotions and these feelings that I haven't felt for 30 years, Like, and it can become too much. Who's your response team? And does this person have the capacity and like the love and the ability to really hold you in that space? Because I think neither of us had that.
No, we
And we were
didn't.
ostracized for
Yeah.
that. And so that's what we mean by guiding people you can only guide people where you've been. You don't want to follow a guide that's never gone through that and they're still trying to heal. And then yet they're handing you medicine now and they haven't, experienced like this. Like, do they really have the capacity if they're barely holding on themselves? So I think that's important to bring up because some
Yeah.
of the topics we talked about this morning is harm reduction
Yeah.
in this space.
Yes.
And losing of agency is part of that,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And re-traumatizing, like
Yeah.
not being trauma informed because those things actually induce more trauma. So that's another I think important thing to communicate to
Oh,
everyone
it
listening.
is.
Yeah,
It really is.
about that.
It it's profound
Yeah.
work. Profound.
Hmm.
And it just, I mean, the only thing, honoring. It's so important to honor all the process and not label it. You know, I I we have a mutual friend that when she had an experience, like when it was rising up, the shaman labeled it evil.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, her body took a massive shock to it.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and they did some worse things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like
so
way worse
it's
things to
right.
her.
I mean,
That was
it was
it's really
so
bad.
kind. And
Yeah.
so um
This was
yeah.
down in South America,
Mhm.
so I mean, it's popping up everywhere. And part of like agency and autonomy is also being informed,
Mhm.
like informing yourself and
Yeah,
like
and you're right,
learning.
having a team of people
Hmm.
that can support
Right,
the facilitator
right,
because there are going to be big things that happen.
right.
Yeah.
It's just like, the story with your son and how
Mhm.
Ted came out and
Oh,
you you get what I mean? Like and
yeah.
like how we support each other with, it's that community is very important. So please, if you're hearing it, I I'm not discouraging you to go after your calling. I'm asking that you do so responsibly,
Yeah.
right?
And
And part of that
and
responsibility is capacity and having that network.
and network and
So work on
doing
that
so much of
first.
your work, your
Yes,
own work
yes, your
first,
own work
like
first,
to
like
create
right,
the clearer
yeah,
vessel.
and
Yeah.
not be a solo person because a single point of failure is,
Yeah.
you know, it's
So
gonna
you're
lead to a
talking about
collapse.
people that are thinking of stepping into leading other folks. For those people that may be looking for that community and maybe stepping into someone who's going, no, come with me and let's go try this. What do you recommend they look for? Again, pulling back their own agency. What are, a couple of guidelines that you would give someone who's stepping into a possible community that they should look out for or ask themselves a couple questions?
Well, are you talking about the person seeking or the person that
Persons
wants to facilitate?
person seeking,
Person
because I think
seeking,
you're going to have more people
what
seeking
questions
than
should they ask?
facilitating.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think um I know this term gets thrown around a lot, but maybe not enough as being trauma informed. And what does that mean to them? Because what happened to us was a lot of re traumatization. So we had a lot of trauma actually occur to us and make it worse. And again, you can't guide others where you haven't been. So we
Mhm.
like live this kind of firsthand. But looking at who's your emergency response team, how do you deal with the big process? One of the things in the year-long psychedelic program I was in, one of my favorite questions to ask people are you ready for the ground to shake underneath you? And if the answer is no, then you better back off, But if the answer is yes, okay, yes, I am. And Laura, how can you support me in that if something happens? Do
Yes.
you have the capacity and the time right now to support me?
Right.
So agency
And
and
possibly
autonomy
everyone else, and
and everyone
possibly everybody
else.
else.
Right. And everybody else in your community,
Mhm.
like, do you
Mhm.
guys have like a language for this yet? A language for rupture and repair, a language for triggering and projecting and, you know, um,
In other words,
so
don't be afraid to ask questions.
yeah.
Ask if somebody's if you're being asked questions because you're trusting your psyche, you're
Hmm.
trusting like it's more than what you see. It's like this whole being.
Mm.
You're trusting your whole being. And the most important remembrance was with this individual. So ask him questions. Whatever it is that feels aligned, and how does it feel, and trust what you feel, and ask questions based on that.
But I
Some
would say
people
a
chase the
newbie might not
dragon.
know. Sometimes the newbie might not know what those questions are, right? Because we are
Yeah.
so conditioned to give our agency over to a subject matter expert, a doctor, whatever that is, a guru.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We are extremely conditioned that
Mhm.
this person knows what they're talking about, I assume.
Yeah.
We know what that is. So I go in there and I tell them the thing. They go, here, take this. And I go, okay. And I walk out the door. We're very conditioned to do that. Teachers, doctors, bosses, whatever it is. Right. And so when you walk into this, there's this, I did it. I can totally speak for myself. I assume these individuals knew what the hell they were talking about. 100%.
Mhm.
My own anxiety was coming up and going, "Eh." But at the time,
Oh yeah.
I didn't trust me. So you've talked about the intuition and
Mhm.
things like that. That was coming up for me. And I would battle is it my anxiety? Is it really, or is it me just trying to avoid feeling some other things? So that's why I'm saying, maybe, a couple questions that someone who's coming in and still hasn't quite really started to understand and listen to their intuition and listen to that voice that's going, maybe not, or yeah, I think we can do this. I think we can do this. Yes, I'm comfortable with that. What else should I potentially be asking?
I think you said it, Chrissy. Do I feel safe here?
Yeah.
And that should come in very clearly. If it's not a yes, it's a no.
Mhm.
Yes. And I think
And
that's it. The yes or the no, the hell yes.
Yeah.
Because I think we
Mhm.
do that. There is, if somebody, I've watched people do this where you ask them a yes or no question and
Mhm.
there's the pause.
That's your answer.
And
Yeah.
that's what I
You
say.
know?
I said, you just told me no. Or for me, I like to say my face does it a whole lot. Laura
I
knows my
love
face
that.
speaks volumes.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, it does.
Oh
It's
my
like
God. I
what?
love it.
Mm.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
So when your face
but
is
it's
saying
true.
no, or your body, that's the other thing we start to learn in
Yeah.
this is the body going,
Mm.
or a lot of all of a
Mhm.
sudden
Or
your
your shoulders
shoulders
are
are
up
up
and
your
you
head and
stop
you're like, yeah,
breathing
I
and
don't,
or
because
do you take a big
starting
drink of
to
air?
starting
Yeah.
to hear
Well,
your body in that.
yeah. Well, it's really like even when I do intake calls with people, it's like I'm literally paying attention to what their energy field, and I'm paying attention to their whole body. And as they soften and open up, it's like, okay, I can feel their level of safety. And if I still feel tension, then if they don't know what to ask, then I ask them more questions. It's like,
So I love
what do
that.
you
That is something good to
yeah.
look for. Someone that is
Hmm.
proactively
Yes.
asking me more information. So I think that is a
Cor-
really good one as well.
correct.
Mhm.
Because by the time somebody walks in my door, I want that that feeling of safety to be established,
Mhm.
because otherwise then there's too many barriers to overcome that day. Mind you, there's just going to be other things coming up because your body and the
Yep.
resistance and all the other stuff.
Mhm.
But
Because there's an anxiety component
yes,
that has been serving you
yes.
for so long,
Mhm.
It has.
and like that.
Yeah,
A lot of people have leaned on anxiety for safety and survival.
correct.
A lot of people too. So
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's like the willingness you know, for that facilitator to sense and ask you more questions and try to establish feeling, safe. And because I'm also feeling like, are they really ready, or are they not? If they're not asking you for medical intake, medications, oh my God, that's a big one.
It's a
If
really
they're
big
not
one.
asking you for
Yeah.
what medications are you on,
Mhm.
Yeah.
a little bit of your medical
Your
history,
lifestyle.
because
Yeah.
that is huge. Because sometimes it's not a no all the time, but it is okay, we've got to prepare.
Mhm.
So now we're going to talk with some of the medical professionals that we have and have a safe approach to
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
So that's for me, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Perfect.
I took it like to a little heavy. We can get lighter again.
Oh yeah, let's go back.
Let's go a little tell a lie again.
Yeah.
But no, I think these are like important, but that's also showing the yin and the yang of things of
Yeah,
like how fun.
exactly.
We went from really fun megalith caves to like
How do we go from dancing and
It's how it
I
making
don't
works.
know.
to this?
That's
It's just how it works.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, I
all
guess-
perfect.
'cause you're right. It's a play honoring respect.
Yeah, but you don't want to play in the
It's
middle of a highway.
no,
I tell people that all the time. You don't want to play in the middle of a highway.
no.
So make sure
But
you're playing.
we used to get told go play in the street. I mean, that was
Yeah,
literally
that's true. I
something
said
we were told
highway.
as children. Go play
Oh,
in the
that's
street.
true.
I did play in the street. The
I
street is
did play in the
okay.
street.
But the highway, no.
Yeah.
Don't play in the highway, and that
Mhm.
feels like a highway. Because I got hit a few times.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
you
and
know.
at the end of the day, I also believe that there isn't there isn't a wrong turn.
That's true.
There isn't a wrong turn because
You'll learn.
it's in those are our biggest teachers. As
Yeah.
long as you don't step into a space of uh victimhood. Oh, it was like you go in and go, okay, what led me here? What are my lessons? And reflect. And we learned. I mean, honestly, I
really
would
big.
not change a thing because
True.
those things literally
Yeah.
propelled me into this version of me.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. And I want to remind people when you're the victim, there's only two roles that somebody else can play: the savior or the perpetrator. They're either one subjecting you to pain or they are. And so that attachment and that relationship will never be healthy, ever. And I don't like to victim shame because I really don't, because there are really bad dynamics. There are people that do harm, and that's not okay. But like just bringing that up,
Mhm.
us recognizing that we also part of that agency and autonomy is we did make a choice.
Yeah, there's something led us
It's
there. What
w-
was there for me to see?
and we were talking about it last night when we were doing our work. And afterwards, I was just like, that felt like a blip. Like, and I saw it from the bigger scale of, what we had discussed or said we're going to play out kind of thing. And all of a sudden I saw it from that scale. And those 2 years of whatever were just like, oh yeah, it was like a nothing to this eternal being that I was like, oh wow, yeah, I could see that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So that's also interesting to like also not cling to the rocks. My
Yeah.
favorite book, Illusions, don't cling to the rocks necessarily,
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, and we're not meant. I heard this in another podcast, which I loved the analogy. It was like, oh, there's wrong turn. Just like, no, there's not a direct path
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm,
where we're going
yeah.
because it's it's feeding character, it's feeding layers, it's
Mm-hmm.
creating depth. It's like
Yes.
there's not a direct path.
There's not. I like to think it's a spiral,
Yeah.
but just if you're looking at it in a two-dimensional plane, it's going to seem like you're just going in circles. But if you actually look at it from this side, then you see that
Mm-hmm.
it's an upward
Yeah.
spiral.
And if you just want to turn around and look behind you,
Oh my god!
yeah.
Oh my god! Yes.
Yes.
I
It's
love
that
it.
spiral. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This feels really good.
Good.
I feel like, is there anything that you think our audience could venture, or is this feeling complete?
that feels a little complete to me.
It feels complete to me
Yeah,
too. That's really
absolutely. Well, then, it was hard to create a closing blessing because I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about, but let's see what I created. Let's see, and I'll take us out with a closing blessing and thank you for joining us today.
Sounds great.
My goodness, this is perfect.
So, take a deep breath,
Mm.
and may the threads of our sisterhood, woven through lifetimes and beyond time itself, remind us that we are never walking alone. May the doors we open together today ripple outward, blessing every heart that listens. every spirit that remembers, and every soul that longs to return home. And may this flow carry us all into deeper trust, a deeper presence, and most importantly, a deeper love. Aho.
Aho.
Thank you for joining us for another episode. Thank you for pausing with me. May what you heard settle gently in your body and stir something true within you. If this episode spoke to your soul, please subscribe and share with someone else who might need this pause as well. Until next time, come as you are, take a deep breath, and stay for the stillness.